the Glasgow Derby this Saturday, 12:30, Celtic v Rangers at Celtic Park. We're here to discuss it. Welcome to this week's episode of 20 Minute Tims. Stephen, Melly, Glasgow Derby has arrived. In many ways, all the other fixtures sort of pale into insignificance now that this game is on the horizon. I am probably quite pleased about that, though.
Is that a very early mention of the form book goes out the window there? Just a rewording of it?
Well, it is, but normally when I say like the form book goes out the window, what I've sort of learned over the years of watching football is that's not really true.
Yeah.
The team that are doing the best in the run up to these games tends to win it. But on this occasion, I would like to claw that back and suggest that we do throw the form book out the window.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to get a couple of wins, though, has to be said. As much as we do acknowledge that somewhat the derby brings its own special occasion, its own challenges. It was good to go in off a couple of wins because it looked as if we were never going to win a game ever again after the Hearts game. So it was good to come in after a bit of form. Haven't conceded a goal, barely conceded a shot. So Celtic are in arguably the best form we're in this season. We've matched their previous record of winning 2 games in a row. Yeah. Still haven't got that elusive third. So hopefully that can be the case now.
Really?
Yeah, like we just had to win these games, didn't we? Quite simply, it was at a point after that Hearts game where it was really, really bad, and we were wondering where the next victory was coming from. Got that in 2 games that they're not difficult games, but they have been for us this season. It's the teams near the bottom we've struggled against to create or finish off chances even. So we've done that now. The 2 results were good, plus 2 lineups that were unchanged on the bench and starting 11, so that gives Celtic a bit of continuity there. I know you don't like that word because we're obsessed by it, but hopefully going into this game I don't see much changing. The only thing would be Carter Vickers, but I think that 11, if everybody's fit, will start the game. And look, we're going into it in decent form. 2 wins, 2 clean sheets, and we've been creating a lot of chances. And look, after that Hearts game we wanted to see a reaction. I think we've seen that.
On the lineup itself, I think there are discussions to take place, though. I think we might eventually come to a fairly predictable conclusion over it all because of the nature of this squad, and something we've spoken about so many times, and how we can't really trust an awful lot of players within that squad. But I think for a change, despite the fact we've had a couple of unchanged lineups, there are discussions to take place there over who actually warrants their place and whether you do have to make slightly uncomfortable changes to sort of accommodate players, because no one's really, there's a few places in my opinion that are up for grabs and no one's really grabbing them.
We've had that all season.
Yeah.
But I think the crucial thing about this game is I don't really want to discuss it in terms of, and it shouldn't be discussed within Celtic in terms of just another fixture on the calendar. There's players here who you need to shop for these games. There's simply no choice. You don't I had a bit, like take for instance Mikey Johnson, who's going to come up. I don't trust him to start against Rangers. And if you do start against Rangers, you need to understand how serious that is. You need to understand that's the absolute level that we need to be at, that you need to be confident on the ball, you need to be aggressive, you need to give absolutely everything. And these qualities that we expect from Celtic players, many of the guys that we speak about whose places are up for grabs, you can't really say that describes any of them. All these guys that are coming in and out, you can't say, Turnbull absolutely must start, Johnson absolutely must start, Holm absolutely must. There's so many of these guys, and that's what probably worries me the most. The guys whose positions are all up for grabs, there's not one single person in that Celtic squad who's currently not playing that I think should definitely be playing.
No, that's why I'd probably make a case for the team that started the last 2 games, because with those players I'm looking at it, and the guys that maybe could come in, Mikey Johnston, Turnbull and all that, we've absolutely ripped them to shreds recently, even Yang, for the lack of work ethic, that work off the ball. And in this game, if you lose your battles, we will lose this game because it is so tight right now. I don't think either team are brilliant, to be honest. Rangers maybe in better form, probably more confident than Celtic. Celtic maybe the better individual players, although that could be argued, and managers going up against it for the first time as well. But when it boils down to it, this game could be won by the tiniest battle in midfield, the tiniest who wants to get to the ball first to prevent a corner or something, who wants to win the header from a corner. It could be that small that makes such a significant impact in this game. And I want guys like Mikey Johnston, Turnbull, Yang on that pitch? No.
There's a lot of pressure on the manager then. I mean, there's been a fair amount of criticism spread about it recently because of the Celtic performances, but at some time Brendan Rodgers' managerial ability needs to click in. We need to see, and we did see it in Europe to be fair, but we need to see from Brendan the Brendan that had Rangers in a chokehold not so long ago. Last time he was here, I mean, he pulled off a masterstroke of sorts in the first Glasgow derby. We all thought we were a bit underprepared for that.
Oh yeah,
massively.
But I am now looking at that going, can we really realistically compare Michael Beale's Rangers, the guy who we all called a fraud, a flop, a myth? Can we then say, well, you know, that this Clermont team is the same thing? Because I just don't think it is.
I think that's important to establish up front. I don't think we can realistically do that just now. I think we need to treat Rangers as an entirely new challenge because of those reasons, because they had a major problem this season, and it was Michael Beale. Basically, that looked to be the root of all of their problems this season, and they've cut that out. They got rid of him. They lost, I think it was after the Aberdeen game, so they lost to Aberdeen and basically just get rid of him. There was no that, he needs time to turn it around, all that familiar stuff. They just jettisoned the guy, the absolute fraud, straight out the window and brought in a guy who, so far, granted they've not played against Celtic yet, so far looks a lot more competent. And they've put a load of wins together. They've had a few impressive results in Europe since he came in. I think they've picked up 8 points in Europe since he came in, including a must-win, almost like a playoff between them and Betis. They went away and got a result, something that we seem incapable of doing in recent years in Europe. So I think for those reasons, we need to treat it as a completely new challenge from having beaten Rangers at Ibrox under Michael Beale, because they look a lot more. Well, I don't think they look great. I don't think it's a case where they are suddenly wonderful and we are absolute dung, like we're in the mud, finished club and all that. I don't think that's the case, but I think they're on the right track as compared to where they were going under Michael Beale. So I think we need to acknowledge that. It will be a big test for Brendan Rodgers, by far his biggest domestic test so far. But I think it might be even argued that it's his biggest test of the season because
by far, I think.
I mean, Europe is its own thing. We, for various reasons, we don't really expect to go and beat Atletico Madrid, and we got a good draw against them. But in terms of where this season has gone unexpectedly under Brendan Rodgers, them coming to Celtic Park with a bit of form behind them, I think represents a big challenge.
It's massive for Brendan. Yeah. It's massive for Brendan. It's job in the balance stuff for Brendan Rodgers, because, like you said, Michael Beale had a bad start. They binned him. There was no talk, he needs to get another transfer window. Brendan Rodgers has been given that honeymoon period of he can get to the transfer window. But my worry is, it doesn't, people will listen to this and go, it's no as if Rangers are great. Rangers don't have to be as great, because in recent weeks we've seen you only need to be as good as Hearts to beat us at Celtic Park. You don't need to be an all-conquering Rangers side. You just need to be competent to pick points off of us. And that's where I think there needs to be a sharp focus from the manager. And I'm sure there is, but there really needs to be a sharp focus from the manager and the players to drill into all these. This is what this means. This is Celtic lose this game on the run we've been on, and I don't mean the last 2 games, I mean the last 5 or 6 games. We've picked up as many points as Hearts and Hibs, and we're third in the league if you look at the last 5 games. So we really need a sharp focus on how important this game is, and I think that comes from the manager. Yeah,
I'd go as far as saying it's the biggest test of Brendan Rodgers' Celtic career. I think in both spells, this is the one that is going to. He gets paid the big bucks, doesn't he? And this is where he needs to
does. He loves a pound note.
This is where he needs to earn it. And I think, look, I can't sit here and lambast the players week after week, say they're not good enough. Then when it comes down to the biggest game of the season, just go to the manager, win this. Because it's not as simple as that. So, but I think he has to formulate a plan that gets us through this game. And this is kind of what he's made for, isn't it? These are the games that he does it in. We know from his previous spell, as soon as games are out the way, he's always geared towards this, always gearing towards these games, and he'll be getting into the players. And the good thing about it is, because our summer window was so bad, most of the players that will be playing are players that have been there and done it for Celtic. There'll be the odd one like Scales and Palmer who haven't really played in these games, but for most of the players that will play, it will be the guys that have been there and done it. So they all know what they have to do. But I do worry when you say there about Hearts, you only have to be as good as Hearts. Hearts scored 2 set pieces against us. That's all it can take against us right now. So Celtic have to be stand up and be counted, and that's the players and the manager.
It's I've said DEILA vibes a couple of times on the podcast over the course of the season, and the reason I bring that up is because we all thought under RONNY DEILA, young and naive as we were, with positive outlooks that it'll kick in eventually. And then there comes a point where you go, there's just no kicking in. This is it. Ronnie Deila's Celtic team is all the Celtic team it's ever going to be. And I think Brendan Rodgers really needs to take this opportunity to show us on Saturday that this is not all the Celtic team that is ever going to be under him, because we'll talk about the January window in a minute, but that's a Hail Mary. The January window is a Hail Mary, and I don't want to focus on too much beyond this match, but there's no, for me, we lost all those games, we threw away a massive lead in the league, and we get beat by Rangers, but January's just around the corner. No. The Rangers game is its own thing.
No, definitely. And I've said all along, or I've said that in recent weeks after Celtic kind of hit the skids there, that it gets January for me, and that's something we can discuss at a later point as well. But Brendan Rodgers gets January for me, and I said that a couple of weeks ago. But that's on the basis that we win several games in a row and include Rangers in that. I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's either win against Rangers or it's all over, put it all in the bin. But I want Celtic to start picking up runs of games and runs of form now, because I think the blip, the bad period has to be over now, and Celtic need to go on a run, because first half of the season we've gone out of the cup and have dropped points in 5 league games so far. That's quite a lot. It's quite a lot so far. And people saying, don't get too carried away, it's fine. But to drop points in 5 league games is quite a lot for a team like Celtic, and that if you're to have a blip, that has to be over now, starting basically now. And I think it's a massive challenge. January, is a completely different thing, because we won't be able to do anything about it before we play Rangers. Won't be able to sign any players, won't be able to register any players, won't be able to get rid of any players, sadly, before now. But Brendan Rodgers has to perform in this, and I'm hesitant to say it's a must-win, but it sort of basically is, really, isn't it?
Well, it is for me, because you can moan all you like, but that's the bed we made as Celtic, as a club, and as Celtic as fans, and Brendan Rodgers as a manager, and these players. Everything we've ever known is really mostly success over Rangers, and crucially wins when it mattered. When Celtic needed to win the game in recent years, we've won the game against Rangers under Ange, under Brendan, even under Neil Lennon from time to time. The need to have this level of success is now just baked in to Celtic, and that's what Celtic are. So I'm being a bit down on it. I'm a bit nervous about the game. I just don't see us magically springing into form. I do see something more akin to the first game of the season that we played against them, where we sort of manufactured a win and it was all very controlled, and we used the skill of Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly, and we came out on top and
took advantage of them making a mistake in post.
And I think that's maybe how the game's going to pan out, more than it is going to be us running over the top of them winning 3 or 4-0. That being said, Melly, we've seen this Rangers team. You're talking about the Celtic players that are going to play have been there and done it. We've seen this Rangers team, and they bottle it numerous times against us.
Yeah, I hate to lump them in with Michael Beale's Rangers or Van Bronckhorst Rangers, because
a lot of the players that have played will still be the same.
Yeah, of course, but I think you need to give this new man. You don't need to give him time because he's a Rangers manager, but I think when you talk about like Celtic's Champions League results, they're crap away from home. But you can't lump every manager into the same thing. It's all different things. So this is going to be Clement's first test against Brendan Rodgers. So we've not seen him come up against a good manager like Brendan Rodgers yet. No. Real Betis maybe, but that result annoys me as well, because look, I don't have any confidence that Celtic could go and do that, but I want them to. So what is it that gets Rangers to that point? And I think it's the physicality, because if they're not playing well, they have that to fall back on. And my worry in this game is that Celtic don't have that. But we do have the game at Ibrox earlier this season, and games in Europe as well, where we can not get stuck in, but we suffer for a bit and we come through it. That's not quite happened the last month or so, but in games previous to that, we'd suffer through games and we'd dig in, and I think we need to do that. It's just Celtic lack a lot right now, and we're sort of getting towards January, hoping that we can bring that in January. But the big thing is this game's here before January. Celtic need to go and do it, and again, we had a big lead. This game should be one that Celtic should be going to win and saying we're going into this break in double figures ahead.
But see, to be honest, that's what's frustrating me the most. I know this podcast's probably a bit of a downer at Christmas time, but that I think what really annoyed me the most, because we could have been in a position realistically here, but if we won this game, the league's basically over by New Year. Because
I can't. Terrible thing to say, but I kind of think Celtic need this because Celtic aren't proactive, they're always reactive. So when Rangers start coming up on Celtic, it's always the, oh no, we better do something now or wait till it's too late. And I think really Celtic need this. They need this to go kick us into action, which is terrible to say because all we want, and we keep saying it season after season, is we just want a football club to be the best football club we can be. And the thing I feel with Rangers, I feel like I'm not complimenting them but talking about them a lot, is like they get stuff done. Like today they've went out and brought in a player. Whether Celtic went for him or not, it is not even the 1st of January yet, and they've brought in a player that will come in and play for them. And Celtic don't seem to be near that. But with the rest of it, and like I said last week, all their money is on the pitch playing. The big money they spend is on there. And even then, I drove past the other day and they've got that Edmondson house up. Why do we not have stuff like that? I think be simple things.
I think you're right in what you're saying is Rangers go out and get stuff done. But under normal circumstances, I would say, well, anybody can go out and sign these players that are no good. The problem is I can't throw that accusation at them at the moment because we've signed a lot of players that aren't very good. And I think the key takeaway is, whether you rate the Rangers players or not, Rangers have managed, Stephen, to sign players that have gone into their team and they're playing and they're contributing, whereas we've sort of done something really peculiar. But I think that it's no... Melly was saying how he thinks Celtic need this. They need Rangers being down their neck in order to be reactive to things rather than proactive. But I think the other thing that's going in our favour is all the games we've performed this season have all been difficult games. Yep. The more difficult games, it's the games that have caught us by surprise. And it reminds me of something that Callum McGregor was saying recently about how some of these players think they just need to turn up and win. And it's no European every week. And they need to do, it's not just routine and it's not a case of someone else will do it for you. So maybe it is just a case of, Stephen, that the players are turning up against Livy, against Hearts, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 guys on the pitch. I think, oh, this will happen eventually, and bang, before you know it, you're a goal down, and you thought, oh, shit, we've been caught here. Maybe the prospect of a big tie, an important game against the main rivals breathing down your neck, maybe these players will rise to this challenge and see this is we don't want to go out like this. We don't want to be this meek Celtic team that have blown this lead, that are dropping points. No, we want to continue this good form and we want to take this challenge on, and we want to basically remind Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if we're speaking figuratively, if this season is a game we have gone a goal down and we need to react to it, we need to sort of galvanise and come roaring back into it, the fans get behind us. But look, the trouble is that Celtic are capable of raising themselves for big games. Then I look at the likes of the Hearts game at home recently, with 2-0 down after half an hour, and it was basically game over. Could have played all day and not come back into it. So Celtic do need a massive turnaround in fortunes, and not so much fortunes, but the will, the desire to get these games won, because it's just no been there in recent weeks. Now, I take aside the Livingston and who was the other one? Dundee games. They were actually decent. They were actually decent performances. And
absolutely smashed Dundee.
We're not conceding chances at the moment, but there is that lingering doubt that this Celtic team are just a little bit, I don't want to use words like gutless, because I think that's far too... but I don't think that's too controversial, because Brendan Rodgers has, if not outright said that, then heavily implied it recently.
Is the word weak not used recently?
Yeah. I'm sure he used the word soft when...
Bullied?
That game was at the very recent game where he read the riot act at half time and they came out. St Johnstone, that was it. I'm sure he used the word soft. So hopefully that sort of soft centre of this Celtic team has been eradicated for this game, because we can't afford to play like that. It just can't.
We have the quality there. We have seen players what they can do when they raise their game. We have seen the likes of Matt O'Reilly against Rangers, Callum McGregor against Rangers, Kyogo, Carter Vickers. We've seen all these guys really strongly perform against Rangers. Alistair Johnson loves playing against Rangers. So I suppose what we're saying is we've got the players there. We need it all to fucking click. There's that word. We just need it to click, and then I'm reminded of what I said years ago. I think the selection is a big thing. One of the things I want to talk about is the wingers. Right and left. I want to see Maeda move back over to the left. I think it's important because Tavernier's their main creative player. He's one of their most dangerous players, and he can keep Tavernier really, really occupied. I saw Abada, apparently. I don't follow Abada on Instagram, but I see he's recently changed his Instagram picture to him scoring against Rangers. I wonder if Abada's I wonder if we're keeping him under wraps. I know he was on the grass recently. If he's available, probably not. It's too early for him to start on the right-hand side. But for me, Maeda on the left, that right wing position though.
This is what I mean about how there are definite discussions, there are definite dilemmas at play here. Even if we end up coming to something that we've seen before, it's a puzzler for me, the wing situation, because of what you've just said about Maeda needing to play on the left to nullify Tavernier that he's been really good at before. He's really done a very good job of that. And again, people will kind of sniff at that and say, oh, Tav Pen and all that, but there's no getting away from the fact he is their major threat. Everything goes through them. He's their main player.
And Maeda's great at shutting him up.
Yeah, absolutely. But can you contemplate really dropping Palma just now if he's one of the main goal threats in the team? Set up a lovely goal for Bernardo against Dundee. Great pass. He makes bad decisions just now, clearly. I think that's part of the debate. But what do you do with the right wing if you put Maeda there?
Palma just has to adapt. I think these are the tactical decisions that a manager has to live or die by. And I think Palma just needs to adapt to play on the right. He's played on the right-hand side for us before. His scope was at Atletico.
No, he was only over there because the way it broke from a corner sort of thing. But I'd stick with the way it is just now. And what you can sort of do to work around it is have Bernardo on that left-hand side of the midfield free, moving across to try and help out. He's good at that. I think he can get about. We've seen him in the European games. And the thing with Bernardo at the weekend was he started getting into the box and making those runs that we've lacked for so long, because it just seems to go around the edge of the box. But if people start making runs, it creates spaces for our people. So, look, if you're going to work against Tavernier, what you need to do is also have somebody stopping him going forward, but you can do that by pinning him back as well. And if we leave Palma up there, working back when he has to, but also he's going to be our main goal threat, probably. Kyogo will finish chances, hopefully, if he gets them, but Palma can sort of make and score chances. So I think taking him out of his position, look, I don't want to sound arrogant, but we're Celtic, we're at home, we've got 60,000 fans. We shouldn't be changing too much to go against Rangers. They're not that much better than us. So I think what we can do is work it. So if Tavernier's got the ball, get Kyogo to press, so the ball has to go out left, because Rangers always prefer going down the right, so we can make a press so that the ball goes out to the left rather than the right. And then if it does go out to the right, have Bernardo over there supporting Palma and Greg Taylor.
I want to tidy that up there, because people will be screaming at that line where you said Rangers aren't that much better than us. I assume you're using that as it's not like we're playing against Atletico Madrid where you need to change all your tactics.
Yeah. It's not as if we're 20 points ahead and we're going into this as underdogs and you need to try and work out ways to stop them. It's just, they might be better than us, they might not be, but they're not that much better than us that we should be changing tactics and moving players about to suit, I don't think.
No, well, I think I just think Maeda's done so well previously in that position. I get what you're saying. I just think he's done so well, and we have concerns.
He's been rotten on the right recently as well.
He has been rotten on the right, and we've got concerns over Palma's work rate. And as you said,
look at the amount of goals Celtic have scored over the years from a bad pass and then passing that ball in between Tavernier and Goldson.
Yeah.
Now, do you want that falling to Maeda, or do you want that falling to Palma?
I don't want any ball that falling to Maeda.
But Maeda can do a job, and look, I think if it's not going well during the game, they're flexible enough to move them over.
The old Neil Lennon.
Yeah, the old switch of the wingers. But I think with Palma, that's where he's dangerous in there, and I think that's where Celtic can get joy. They just need to figure a way to stop Tavernier.
I think the midfield three as well has got to be Bernardo, McGregor and Matt O'Reilly, doesn't it?
Yeah, without doubt. I think Bernardo, had it not been for the Dundee game, I would have said, who knows? To be honest, you could throw a dart at the team and that pick your midfielder, who knows who it's going to be. But I think after the Dundee game, I think Bernardo deserves to start the game. I think he was very effective in that one. Completely different from how he's looked usually, because in recent weeks and recent podcasts and recent At The Match podcasts, we've been talking about how Bernardo is just seems like a bit of a non-entity in there, just a midfielder who just sort of floats around the middle. Tidy is about the best thing you could say for him, but I thought he really sprung to life in the Dundee game, getting forward a lot more, took his goal. A wee bit of luck with the goal. I think it kind of came off him twice and bounced through the keeper's legs a wee bit, but a great pass from Palma, as I said previously. So I think he deserves to start, because I wouldn't really even consider the likes of, I don't know who's going to be fit, so I'm just working on the assumption that Iwata is not going to be back. But Turnbull, no, I think we've seen what Turnbull is capable of in these games, and it's not a huge amount. I know he played in the last one and contributed to the win at Ibrox. He scored that hilarious goal last season, the fourth in the 4-0 victory.
That's right.
Yeah, John McLaughlin passed it straight to him. But I don't think he's done anything in recent weeks to suggest that he's even a consideration for this game. Then you're into the realms of home or Hatate hasn't been in the squad recently. I know that
who would make you feel more comfortable? Would you, when the lineup comes out on Saturday, Hatate or Bernardo?
Well, yeah, that in a perfect world, you would say Hatate, clearly. I mean, Hatate, if he was playing and playing well in the build up to this game, it's not even a question about that being the midfield three. But with him not having played in ages now, and Bernardo having been picking up form, I would be more confident in Bernardo. How I would view that, if the lineup was to drop an hour and a quarter before the game and I saw Hatate playing from the start, my immediate thought would be, oh, brilliant, Hatate's back. But then I would probably pivot to, that's a sub you need to make after about an hour. So I'm fine with Bernardo playing. I think he deserves it. And it's really just a case of, it's been a process of elimination with the midfield rather than anyone fighting it out and battling for it, because it really has just been Bernardo has stepped forward in amongst a load of, I mean, it's just been mediocrity really from guys who've shown flashes. Iwata's injured again, but Home has just been okay. Hooked at half time in a couple of his appearances, so it's Bernardo for me.
I think with Rangers have got some injury concerns as well. They also had a wee game called off during the week there, so a wee bit extra break for them. But I think looking at the two lineups, Celtic's strongest bit is the midfield. I think now Bernardo's sort of not cemented his place, but in the last two games looked more like, oh, this is why this guy was at Benfica and why we brought him in. But with that midfield also, Greg Taylor has been more inverted as well. I think with that sort of box in there, that's where Celtic can get the joy. I'm not sure who's going to start for Rangers. Having a quick glance over the midfields, it's been Sterling, who's a right back, who's been playing in there. They've had Kieran Dowell playing. I don't know who's going to be fit, who'll be back, but if Celtic can win that midfield battle, that's probably where we'll get the most joy, because the wide players, we've seen so many different versions of wide players, wide partnerships. The two fullbacks for Celtic this season have flattered to deceive a lot of the time, so that centre midfield is where Celtic can get a grip of the game, and I think that's where we need to be, overload them with numbers and try and spring on them and get balls in behind, because when Rangers are turning back the way, that's where they sort of struggle, and it's not going to be like the games we've had recently, whether it be Livingston, whether it be Dundee, where the teams are just camped in and Celtic have got 70% possession. It's going to be close to being 50-50 possession, which means Rangers will come at Celtic sometimes, which means there'll be space in behind, and Palma, Kyogo and Maeda haven't had that at all recently.
Scouting, statistics, tactics. We have got a scouting podcast out with Alex Barker, Euro expert. Melly was chatting to him. He's looked at Rangers and they have a little look over all the data, the analytics. They also scout Rangers, talk more in depth about their dangerous players, talk tactically about how we expect them to set up, how we can hurt them. All that's available. Patreon.com/20minute-tims. You can listen to that before the game. Some ideal pre-match listening, that one. I don't think there's any getting away from the fact that this is a huge game for Celtic. I think what Melly's right in saying is there's probably not much between the teams, Stephen. I don't want to I could just come on the podcast and just kid on like bravado and pretend that it's no bother, we'll smash them and all that. I'm a bit nervous just because of how Celtic have played recently, how some of these players have performed, Melly.
Can I ask you then, what happens when the lineup drops then, and what happens, how does your confidence feel if Carter Vickers isn't in there?
I think he will be, but I couldn't take it. Honestly.
So you answer my question.
I know, I couldn't take another hit. I want Carter Vickers in there. I mean, Liam Scales will be in there, fine.
It'd be Welsh that comes in, wouldn't it?
Steve Welsh. Well, according to Brendan, he says Carter Vickers is under strict instructions that if he feels anything in his hamstring at all, he needs to come off, and that's all it was. It's not gone or anything like that. So
no, but Tuesday to Saturday is not a big
and I'm fully aware that they want to keep Rangers guessing, and they wouldn't be giving it away right after a game like that anyway.
The last time he was taken off as a precaution, he missed 2 games. So as the last example of that, he felt something in his hamstring, so we just took a precaution and took him off. He missed 2 games after that. So I think between the Hibs and Hearts games, he missed both the games in between. So it's not great, is it? Because as much as, I love Carter Vickers, I'm on record, check the record, but as we say every week.
Get it checked.
Yes, as saying it, I think he's the best defender I've seen. In terms of consistency, in terms of performance, the best defender I've seen in my lifetime is Celtic. People might have other opinions. So I'm just using that to illustrate how much I rate the guy. But I'm worried now about the level of his crookedness, because it's multiple injuries now, and if you say, it's fine, if he feels anything in his hamstring, we'll just take him off. But that could be 3 minutes into the game where he could feel a little twinge.
There certainly are questions over, as much as there's certainly questions over, there's rumours that Carter Vickers has got a new contract and it's not been announced yet, or he's been offered a new contract. There are questions over, look, we love you, Cam, and you're absolutely brilliant, but you will be one of our highest earning footballers. And can we really afford to have a guy on the books who is brilliant, who's the best defender we've ever seen, but can really only play a third of the season? Like, have we got our very own Ledley King here?
Well,
I don't know if it's quite at that level yet, but if Cameron Carter-Vickers comes back and goes, here, Celtic, stop buying crap centre-halves then, so that I don't need to play every single minute of every game, man, because we're looking at it again, 3 centre-halves in the summer, and biggest game of the season coming up, and if Carter-Vickers is fit, none of them will even make the bench.
No.
That's where we are right now. So Stephen Welsh would probably come in, and then probably Nawrocki will be on the bench, or Lagerbielke. But you're looking at it again, wasting money on these guys, having to rush Carter-Vickers back because he's essential. But I think with Celtic, Carter-Vickers, McGregor, O'Reilly and Kyogo, that's the 4 guys we need on the pitch to win this
That's
game.
it, because you were saying what was going to make me feel any better. It's not really, there's really nothing in the lineup that can make me feel any better. I know how the lineup's going to be. I think it's going to be, as we've discussed, and then the 3 midfielders, and then Palmer, Kyogo and Maeda up the front. But what will make me feel better is seeing Matt O'Reilly on the ball, seeing him look confident. What will make me feel better is getting balls in behind and Kyogo getting on the end of things, not necessarily scoring, but just everyone just looking that wee bit sharper, that wee bit on it. Because it's an old cliche, right? But I do think if Celtic turn up and do their business, we'll beat Rangers, because we've got that available to us. We've seen what the majority of these players can do to Rangers when everything's on point and everyone's singing with the same hymn sheet. The concern is we've not been that team a lot. So what will give me confidence is those opening couple of minutes, but up to that point I'll be sheathing myself.
What happens if Celtic are 0-0 or 1 each or something?
Stop
like that?
giving me scary scenarios, Melly.
And then we turn to
and
the
then
bench.
your phone rings and you need to
turn to the bench and Brendan looks across. I've got a choice between Yang, Forrest and Mikey Johnson. Who are you going for?
And a piano falls on your head.
I know. There's no, who we... Honestly, I'm inclined to say Mikey Johnson, and I'll tell you why. Because he scored 2 there.
Back.
He scored 2 there, right? He scored 2 coming off the left-hand side, where I think we all agree that's probably his better position, right? So he scored 2. I know what James Forrest offers us, and you've called him numerous times a hide-and-seek champion against Rangers, so I've seen enough of James Forrest to know that he's not good enough. Yang, unpredictable. Wiley, who knows what he's going to do next? Not even Yang knows what he's going to do next half the time. So I've seen enough from Yang to know that he just beats a guy and then beats him again and tries to beat him again and forgets that what you're supposed to do is beat him and then cross it. He forgets to cross him. So I've seen enough. So given that choice, and I think I'll make this probably the last imaginary scenario you'll offer up in case you stress me out anymore. I think it's got to be Mikey Johnson.
I think after the Dundee game, he's sort of earned that slot, hasn't he? The guy that will come on. But hopefully now that sort of 4-year-old monkey's off his back, that he can do it. To go that long without scoring for Celtic, I know there's circumstances.
Imagine having a monkey on your back for 4 years. What a mess.
He plays like it anyway. So hopefully that can be him, that he's free of that. But he's not going to be the solution, is he? And that's what we're again coming back to is, well, Celtic's starting 11 might be as good as it can get if Hatate's on the bench. Maybe even stretch to Abada, but flinging a guy on the bench after being out for 3 months it's where Celtic are right now. We're desperate and we need heroes, but I think the heroes are going to be the ones that start.
If he can add it to his game, Claxon with Mikey Johnson, if he can only add goals and assists to his game.
That's another thing I want to ban from football discourse. If they're starting to add that to their game, like just pull things off a shelf. Like, I never used to score goals, but I'm going to do that now. Listen, before we get our final conclusions, people, or we reach the sort of conclusion part of the podcast, people will be looking across at all 3 of us, resplendent in green as it is. And wondering what the shit is Melly wearing.
I'm not going to say what my jumper looks like. I've just realised. In case we get abuse.
From the Jerry Adams collection. Is it? No, that's a Mark McGuinness.
Who are you wearing?
That's a Mark McGuinness special, that one. People are going to look at Melly and say, why is Melly wearing a Christmas jumper. Well, it is basically our Christmas episode, this one. And we've got each other some presents. We always do that.
Yep.
We always do that. So
we haven't seen each other in person throughout the festive period, so we're getting together just now.
So we're going to do some gifting.
In the Christmas gooch between Christmas and New Year.
Absolutely disgusting. Melly, would you like to go first?
Yes, no problem. Jamie, being a man of fashion, I saw this and thought of you. So
wow, I can.
Oh God, I've got.
Oh God,
have you got some?
I've got some clothes as well.
Is this a?
What we try to say? Is this stop wearing Stone Island?
Is this hey? Is this a Stone Island? Is it? Is this a Gucci? Is this a Louis Vuitton? I see some tartan here. Wow, Melly, is this Celtic pajamas?
No, it's a shirt.
Do you expect me to fucking wear that?
It's better than some of the gear you do.
Who honestly would ever wear that?
Oh, I may as well go just now as well, because you can complete the outfit with this. Just really? Throw this across. Watch for this for the camera effect.
Oh, there we go. Wow, this is
one for every season.
That's quite thick. Just before
it's weighty, isn't it?
Look at this. It made Jeffrey Taylor Edinburgh quite weighty, really. You've spent a few quid on that. And
charity shop's fine.
the Celtic badge on the side. Let me just check what it's made of, if I can quickly make this entertaining. No, we can't. Okay. Next, I've got gifts for yous, by the way.
Yep.
I've got gifts for yous. Stephen has completed the outfit with... What is this? What on earth have we got here?
T-shirt for underneath.
Hey... That's bad, isn't it? That is bad for listeners. Stephen has given me a Peaky Blinders themed Celtic
CSC
t-shirt. The Peaky Blinders CSC. Wow, that is absolutely
that goes perfectly together.
Sensational. Yes, okay, Smelly, you've got one for Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
It better not be better than mine.
Celtic have won a lot of trophies. There's been a lot of highlights in this year, but I had to bring together one of my highlights and give you in gift form.
So I'll just bring this up to the camera. Oh, bump my microphone.
Stephen, for narration here, Stephen is opening a small box.
Yeah.
What size is that box? It's about 6 inches square.
Sturdy wrapping on this as well.
Very well
Don't
wrapped
wrap it as well as this for the purposes of podcast.
Of course, I did not wrap it.
Oh, right.
No, he gave it to
what's inside is a white box, which requires even more opening. Go. Okay.
Stephen is opening the white box.
Oh, goodness me, it's a mug. What can be on it?
It's a mug featuring Stephen dressed from a Halloween episode as
one of our more memorable moments.
Oh,
that is excellent. Thank you very much.
Even get the writing in yellow.
It does say in yellow letters, "I'm a banana."
Well, I think as you both know, we have a lot of people watch this podcast, don't they?
Yeah.
We start to get recognised when we go out. I don't like to throw around the word celebrity. Right?
We are not using that word.
I don't use the word. I'm not famous, right? Now, that's not what I'm saying, but sometimes when you reach the higher echelons of this game, you make a few celebrity pals, Melly. So I've pulled a few strings for the pair of you. And Melly, who is your favourite comedian of all time?
Oh, there's a few. I'd say MIKEY, I'd say Conley, I'd say Gervais.
Yeah, maybe not so much now, Ricky Gervais, but Ricky. So somebody put me in touch with the real Ricky Gervais, and he's sent you a video message here.
Oh, Martin, you old slag, did you get the grass stains out your trousers?
Oh, it's me, David Brentmaster General. Yeah,
in the office, in the hot seat. Yeah, and this is a little Merry Christmas massage, yeah, from your mate James Flynn. Pay me loads of bunts to do this. Bunsen burner, nice little earner. Yeah, but he said you got a silly little podcast. Pipe dreams are good, in a way. You know, keep it going because, you know, eventually you get people like me on there, famous. Yeah, big Celtic fan. Go on. That's good. The only downside is you're a ginger, but sometimes gingers can be successful. You know, look at no, you'll be brilliant. Chris Evans, he's grey now though, but maybe when you go grey, that's when you become successful. Anyway, enjoy it. Enjoy Christmas. Try not to eat too much Christmas cake, a bit sweet for me. I prefer a flan. But Elvina will flow. Yeah, bit of philosophy for you. If you want the rainbow, yeah, you got to put up with the rain. Do you know which philosopher said that? Dolly Parton. And people say she's just a big pair of tits. See you later.
No expense spared, and I get insulted into them.
And that was the real Ricky Gervais. I was assured by Celebrity
like
Finders that was a real. And since we're I was in a real giving mood, and reaching out to people's heroes. Melly got Ricky Gervais. I reached out to one of Stephen's heroes.
Oh wow!
As well, one of your all-time heroes, to give you a little pep talk this Christmas, Stephen.
Hi Stephen, Matt Letitia here. Now, your friend James has asked me if I would send you a little message, as he tells me you're having a bit of a hard time at the moment. Well, I just wanted to say to you, keep your head up, mate. Keep fighting the good fight, and know that you will be on the right side of history. We will be on the right side of history. So we wish you and all the other Tims a lovely Christmas and all the very best for 2024.
Your idol?
There you go, mate. Your idol, Matt Letitia.
Oh, we will be on the right side of history together.
Honestly, see, when I was requesting that message, I thought, right, what I'm going to do, right, is just plant little seeds to make him think that you are a wacko. Like,
yeah, right, okay.
Right,
Did you send him his Twitter? Is that all you had?
No, to make him think like you're one of these anti-vaxxers. But I just planted seeds. I didn't say anything else. And what I also wanted him to do was wish all the Tims a Merry Christmas, all the Tims out there a Merry Christmas. But how do I do that without like making it affiliated? Well, what I said was your name was Stephen Tims. And I said, can you wish Stephen and all his family a Merry Christmas? So there you go, Stephen.
Tremendous.
You're here.
We'll go one more. I forgot Melly's. Melly's Christmas present.
Melly's unwrapping what looks like a small kettlebell.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a trophy. Melly, turn it on and hold up to your.
There you go.
Wow. It's like a remote. Wow, it's colour changing. That is Celtic. The tackiest, most revolting.
Nightlight.
Celtic.
Shut your hole, fat boy.
Etched Greg Taylor's face on a nightlight, and it says "Shut your hole, fat boy" on it. That is. Let me have a look at that. Steve, that is.
Well, it's weighty. No expense spared.
Don't drop it. God no. Wow. Wow, that's absolutely tremendous. Look. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry belated Christmas.
Yep. So final conclusions
of the Glasgow Derby preview as we're doing here. It is what we've come across here is it's a must win, but we don't trust the players, and there's nothing to back up that fact. And almost what we've done is set up the manager for an impossible task. You must win this game under no circumstances, even though we don't have a lot of belief.
Must not lose, probably.
Oh, forget all that. I feel 10 feet tall after being given a pep talk by who I firmly believe should be the next Prime Minister of the
Pin that
UK.
up in the dressing room.
Shut your fat hole. Shut your whole fat hole.
Matt and I are going to be on the right side of history beginning this Saturday afternoon with a thorough win over the forces of darkness.
Oh, look, that's it. Look, if I was in that Celtic dressing room, do you know what I'd say? I'd say, look, we've done it before.
Yes.
You've done this before. We know that when Rangers come up against Celtic and we need to win, more often than not, we win the game. Callum McGregor's done it. Matt O'Reilly's done it. Half of the guys out there have done it. And the guys that have not done it yet, this is your opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you all about how brilliant it is. So that's what you need to do. And there is nothing better. I've got so many memes lined up. There's nothing better than putting Rangers in their place.
Our draft's absolutely busting.
I've got Kurt Angle ones. We get to call Clement a bald fraud. There's so many things that we could really, really do. But I think more importantly, the beauty of it comes from just putting Rangers in their place, because they are talking big now.
So what you're saying is this time next week we'll have beaten Rangers, and what will it be? January, the window will be open. We'll have signed 3 players by then as well.
We'll send those boys out to beat Rangers, and then next week we'll get half of them out and we'll get good players in.
I know, there's been a lot of talk about Rangers being proactive in the transfer window, like Celtic aren't anymore, apart from that window where we had Hatate and Maida and Idiguchi in on New Year's Eve, I think it was, on Hogmanay. But there'll be an argument against Rangers doing that by saying, but you'd rather be right than quick, wouldn't you? You'd rather get it right than quick. Yes. But the trouble is, nowadays Celtic are slow and wrong.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that amazing combination of being slow and wrong.
Right. Do you think we'll win?
I think it'll be a draw.
Okay, Stephen.
Yeah, I do. I think Celtic have got it in their locker to get a narrow win of this. But you never know. It might just be one of those mad ones where you turn up and it's like 3 or 4-1 or something like that.
That's what it's going to be, honestly.
Yeah.
It's we're going to get battered 3-0 or we're going to batter them 3-0. That's the only two options for me.
Yeah.
Or 2-2.
Yeah. Well,
So all three options.
look, there's no getting away from the fact that you can be confident, but we have been somewhat lurching towards this January window, thinking we're going to fix all the problems in January. But this is the big stumbling block. This is the big hurdle before January. So we just need to get over this, and then we can start to piece things together for the second part of the season afterwards. So it's a massive game, and we need to go and deliver some sort of message that Celtic are not a busted flush. Brendan Rodgers not a finished manager, all this sort of stuff. We need to start turning up, and it starts this weekend for me. I think Celtic can win. I would take any sort of win, goes without saying, take any sort of description of win just now. But I think Celtic can get the job done 2-1 on the day.
And on that, we shall wrap up. If you want a tactical and statistical and scouting podcast, patreon.com/20Minute Tims. We'll be at the game, so we'll have our At The Match podcast out just after it, where we'll be reacting to the result. All that is available on patreon.com and on Apple. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.